Welcome back to Long Box Diving, where we explore comics and story arcs pulled from the long box. And tonight we're actually having a special edition of Shop Talk.
Shop Talk!
Yes. All right. So I am D.
I'm Jay.
I'm smarter than him.
And that is... Oh, Lord.
Off to a great start.
All right. So, okay, this is my family. I am the dad. These are the kids. And these are the kind of conversations that we have. We used to have in, comic book stores, and now we have here at the house. And we really annoy LBD Storm.
Yes.
We really annoy LBD Storm because she's like, stop
arguing. It's stupid.
But we have these conversations all the time, and we love having these conversations. They are thought experiments. They lead to discussions and arguments, and
and sometimes you learn something.
Especially these two, because they don't know that much.
My SAT score is higher than yours.
He hasn't taken the SAT yet, so
that would be a 0.
That would be understandable why yours is higher. A 1 would be higher than his at the moment. So it's not saying much there, Mr. J. All right, so tonight is Shop Talk, a special live edition of Shop Talk. Normally we film this, but as we were sitting here starting the conversation, it got so argumentative. And look at the look. Look at the look. This one is giving that one right now. We've got to go live with this because people need to see what I have to deal with.
Someone may have come on top.
Come out on top. People need to see what I'm dealing with. Hey, Mark Knapp, 68, thanks for joining us. So tonight's topic is gravity versus magnetism. So we're looking at two separate powers.
Yeah.
If you, Jay, E, or Mark, anybody in the comments, anybody joining us, would have to choose a superpower, either gravity or magnetism, which one would you choose and why?
Gravity.
So what we're actually going to do is define what gravity power is, basically off Magneto, and then
reverse that.
Or Gravitron. And then magnetism power is based off Magneto. So we're going to look at what Gravitron can do versus what Magneto can do, and then look at those two separate power sets and say, okay, what are the benefits of one? What are the benefits of the other? And then which one would you choose and why?
Now, we're not comparing these two characters in a one-on-one.
Correct.
Because some characters are just uniquely weaker. But we're comparing power sets. So keep that in mind.
Gravitron himself is kind of so we don't want to compare him to Magneto. Magneto's probably going to outsmart him. Moonstone outsmarted him. I mean, come on. So, but he has a power set. So he has a certain power that we want to look at. And so what we're going to do is first, we'll look at Gravitron. Now, Gravitron was empowered by an explosion, having to do with gravitrons. Now, Gravitron can surround any person or object, including himself, with gravitrons or anti-gravitrons.
Okay.
Thereby increasing or decreasing the pull of gravity upon it.
Cool.
All right. So when we're talking about that, what we're actually talking about is every object, i.e. this little piece of paper, every object has gravitrons or anti-gravitrons attached to it. So this object here can actually pull his Magic the Gathering card to it or from it. Everything has a pull to it. All right. Or push, right? But what normal objects, we call that magnetism. Okay? Magnetic pulls.
Yeah.
All right. But in the comic world, there's gravitrons and anti-gravitrons that you can actually circle something and cause them to pull or push from each other. So this is going to be kind of a hard one because when you're normally thinking of gravity in a sense of science, you're talking about a gravity well, right?
Yep.
And that objects fall within the well is actually falling within the pull of the object because the mass of the object is pushing the universe, the spatial plane of the universe down into a lower quadrant, which causes things to fall into it. And
everything has a gravity well.
But everything has a gravity well.
No matter how weak.
Especially us masculine men, we get, women fall into our gravity well. So for some of us. And one woman
Well, you
fell
said
in my gravity
masculine.
well, and that was it. I was done. All right, so we're talking about gravitron. So basically, his ability now we're talking about is able to put gravitons and anti-gravitons, things that pull and push other things together. So he was able to manipulate gravitrons for various uses, including projection of high concentrated blasts, formations of gravitational force fields, levitation, and had also had Superior, special live edition of Shop Talk. We're going over graviton right now.
Let us know your favorite gravity or magnetism while we're talking.
Yes. So
Yes.
up front, which would you guys choose? If you had to choose between a gravity power or magnetism power, which one would you choose? Right now, you.
I know mine. Gravity. Easy.
Gravity, Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings. I mean, come on.
No. We're not discussing that.
I mean, it's
We're
a really
we're
cool
in
use
comics.
of it.
And I'm actually for gravity as well.
We're gonna be one-sided here today.
But there was so much argument to begin with that now it's like, okay.
No, yeah, we're gonna have to get into it. Master of gravity over here and magnetism.
All right, so he was able to do a force blast. He was able to levitate objects, create shields, he was able to make individuals or objects attracted to each other or repel each other.
Gravity.
So the key point here is he surrounded objects with either gravitrons or anti-gravitrons that either cause them to be attracted or subtracted, detracted from each other. It doesn't matter the quantity. It doesn't matter the makeup of the object. It doesn't matter any of that. But again, it's only attraction or pushing,
And
pull or push. That's all there is to it.
This feels really nerdy because at the end of the day, it's effectively the same as magnetism and how it's being used here. But at like a fundamental level, it's not elements being like attracted to each other. It's actually adding more mass to it. Technically, you're increasing the rate of gravity towards it.
In a sense, you would think gravity, you're adding more mass to it, so therefore it sinks further into the gravity well. But that's not technically what's happening with gravitron. In gravity powers within the Marvel universe, you're technically adding more gravitrons, which then increases the pull of gravity upon you, but without increasing your mass.
Although, isn't that technically adding more mass because you're adding more even at a molecular level, you're adding more gravity.
It's not actually in you; it's around you.
I mean, lots of things are
there
around you.
There is a difference here because Leland, what's his face in the Hellfire Club can actually increase the mass of a person, which then increases gravity upon them, and then Kitty Pryde is able to decrease her mass, which then reduces the pull of gravity upon herself. So, and a Vision can do the same thing. So there is a difference between adding mass and subtracting mass.
I'm gonna start arguing for magnetism now.
You already started. Let's be real here.
All right. So the idea here with gravitron is it's basically anti-particle. Now, you think about that. He can actually create a shield that pushes everything away from it.
But it also pushes him away from it.
Yes.
Can't you just make it one-sided?
He can.
Equal or opposite reaction, man.
This is comic books.
It's comic books, but if you actually say, it doesn't say, but if he puts a shield around himself, all the way around himself, it would then push in equal directions at the same time.
If the thing being thrown at him has more mass than he does.
But you create more gravitons on the opposite part and push back in the opposite direction, equaling the reaction.
He would be crushed.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't, because it's around him, not in him. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't smash the shield together.
It's basically squishing him.
No, it doesn't.
It's literally rocking a hard place. It is literally rocking a hard place.
Listen, watch this. If you push on this at 100 pounds, and I push over here at 100 pounds, they're not going to move. If inside's pushing out at 100 pounds,
I mean, theoretically,
it's the same thing as a balloon.
What if there was a balloon inside?
And it wouldn't change.
Yes, it would. It pushed the balloon
if
until it
popped. If the force here and the force here equal, this would not bend at all.
No.
That's how your lungs work. That's how you can breathe.
No, but if it was
harder,
yes, then it would break through.
No, it wouldn't, because you just increase the opposite direction. You increase the push on the opposite direction. If the inside and outside equal, it will not move. When force equals and force equals applied, it will not go anywhere.
Just because I'm pushing on Jacob's head from both sides as strong as possible.
And Jacob's head's pushing back at the exact same rate. it would not make a difference.
Question.
All right,
Could
Mark's going with gravity too. We haven't even gotten to magnetism yet.
Could you put enough gravity onto the surface of the planet that it actually moves the planet out of alignment?
I don't know, but he was able to actually levitate a whole island.
I'm going with yes.
I'm going with yes.
Comic books.
Depending on how much gravitrons he could actually generate at any given time, he can actually cause a force blast. I don't know how that would work. He can levitate, so it's not exactly flying. Again, there's some fun stuff here. All right, so let's go back here. On a large scale, gravitron could exert gravitational control over a maximum of 2 miles. We don't care about that. By rapidly projecting gravitons in a cohesive beam, he can generate a blast with massive concussive force equaling a primary shock wave of 20,000 pounds of TNT.
That doesn't seem like.
So he could also create a gravitational force field around himself, protecting him from a force of a small nuclear weapon. He is able to levitate an island above ground. He's able to exert power when sleeping. He can reshape mountains on the moon. He has been able to demonstrate lift a small stone in China while residing in LA and then depositing it in Australia through the victim's head. Wow! By separating himself from Earth's gravitational field and instead of tuning himself to the incredibly stronger field of the sun, he was able to cross the distance from Earth to the sun almost instantaneously, whereas individual force fields proved strong enough to withstand the forces of the sun itself.
That's one of the first powers that I'm like, yeah, that's something that is actually gravity powered instead of just graviton powered.
All right, so that was actually where he's actually hooking to a gravitational field.
Yeah.
But they're kind of playing with this whole idea. There are these gravitrons, right? So if that we take that as our fundamental idea of what gravity power is the ability to attach and detach gravitrons to objects. It'd be great. I mean, can you imagine being a teenager with that power? You make a girl, and she's like, you're like, well, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. Or basketball, football.
That'd be a lot. Yeah.
Can you imagine going through and running through the line and the guys are just flying off of you? I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with that power that would get you in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I mean,
what if no one knew you had it?
No one knew you had it. You could have a lot of fun with that. I mean,
yeah.
Imagine walking through the store and candy bars just flying into your pocket.
I mean, I think it'd be cooler to smash a car into a store window and then have candy bar fly to you.
Well, he could pick up the candy bar out of China and bring it to him. All right, so let's go over to Magneto. Now, Magneto is very much so. Magnetism is what we're talking about here. Magnetism is very much specifically talking about the manipulation of ferrous and non-ferrous metals.
So, like, he needs metal that is magnetized.
You have to have
able to be magnetized.
So ferrous and non-ferrous metals, right? So, what is a non-ferrous metal, Jay?
Apparently, it does not contain ferrite. Interesting.
It doesn't include. Yeah, so no iron. So,
see, I'm sort of familiar with the ferrous form of magnetism, where that's actually most of our magnetic metals.
So it almost seems like he can just control metal, but all right. With the maximum amount of mass he can manipulate one time, he has been able to move asteroids.
We're not talking about specific people.
He is able to levitate 30,000 tons of nuclear submarine. His powers extend to the subatomic level. All right. So insofar as much the electromagnetic force is responsible for the chemical bondings, allowing him to manipulate chemical structures and rearrange matter, although this is often a strenuous task. So here's where things may actually fly in the direction of magnetism. All right, so this idea of what we can do with magnetism is actually the electromagnetic bonds between molecules.
I mean, like when you get, I mean, it's this say strenuous, but if you can get it to a point where it's atomic, and it said atomic. If you get to the point where you can rebond how atoms are bound and just take out any electrons from all of the atoms, what would happen to a person when every single element in their body is evaporated?
Well, it broke.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know
if you release the electrons, let the electrons release or break the magnetic bond between, atoms, you're talking just, things just kind of.
With that, I mean, could you technically split an atom inside of a person using magnetism? Or worse, do like fission, nuclear fission.
If you had one molecule here and one molecule here with one in the middle, and you take and point and pull an electron from this molecule through that into that molecule using magnetism to pull from here to here, you could literally split an atom, which then would cause the person to
nuke.
But again, that's crazy. Hey, comic collector.
That is really crazy.
All right, so on the side of magnetism now, we're talking not only just metals, but we're talking down to the atomic level, where, you know, the person using magnetism could actually break the bonds and actually reform bonds if they knew what they were doing
and had the ability to do it.
That is almost on the level of Jean Grey.
Yeah.
You know, where you're using telekinesis to break things apart and rebuild them.
Because at the end of the day, everything is made out of atoms. So if you can control, again, it depends on the strength of your metallurgist, whatever you call them. If you can attract atoms and actually rearrange them, that's really powerful.
Yep.
Yes. So magnetism, that looks really powerful. Gravitron looks really powerful. Now we've come down to the fateful decision.
Yes, let's fight.
E, which would you choose and why?
Magnetism, because because they can just destroy what the Graviturgis is messing with. So
yes, but you know, you're talking again.
The Graviturgis can't destroy what the magnetist is messing with.
Yes, he can.
Nope.
He can cause it to fly around. He can cause it things to attract to it. He can actually put gravitrons around the atomic structure to force what he's trying to do apart.
Depends on. I don't.
We're not there yet. We're not in the debates yet.
You put it around, not in.
You're getting ahead of ourselves.
Around an atom is still around.
No, that's in. That's atomic.
All right. So what if what if he puts enough anti-gravitons on him that he shoots him up into space before he can do anything?
Well, then he can just do it with the next thing.
He's in space.
In space.
Is he going to be up there just breathing, having a good old time?
Hoping an asteroid comes by.
Just moved Magneto into space.
No, not Magneto. You. Because you are the one with the magnetism powers. Okay. And why? The guy with the graviton powers has the ability to untune himself from the Earth's gravitational field and tune to the sun's gravitational field. What if I decided, being the graviton person, to do that to you? And you are now at the sun.
Okay, before we get to all that,
I'd kill him before he did it.
I'm going.
But why? Why? Hold on. Why? Magnetism and why? Because you just say why you think it's a good idea. You changed your mind already?
Because you can kill them just as easily as they can kill you. It's whoever does it first.
All right. Jay.
Gravity. And I say this because with what we're going with for...
I had to argue something
comic
gravity.
Comic collectors go with gravity as well.
Because we're going with what's defined in the comic books, right?
That's true, comic collector.
While
Batman would have a plan.
Yeah, Batman would have a plan. While yes, magnetism has it can mess with atoms at the very atomic level. Its primary use is with metals. Gravity is not restricted primarily to metals, and it doesn't have to be so fine-tuned to mess with it at the atomic level. I believe that was nature.
That was the weakness of magnetism, is it was strenuous, right? So if you're going to manipulate something on the atomic level, you would have to be able to do it fast and quick to beat the gravity guy. Now, it depends. We don't know how fast the gravity guy can generate gravitons.
Let's just say the peak for both of them.
So if they're both at the peak, we now have, to me, a sort of stalemate situation here. Because if the magnetism guy is at his peak, and that means it's not that strenuous to manipulate your subatomic particles, he could literally rip your head apart.
The Graviturgist was he was attuned to the sun's gravity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I don't think he can attune other people to it.
We don't know.
It's
If it's all about gravitons, if it's just
Yeah.
a matter of tuning the gravitons from one field to another, then the gravitons around you take you to the sun.
all right. How about you, D? What would you go with?
All right. So in my what I would actually go with is something that I can control on a daily basis to help mankind, or mostly myself and my wife. So what I would probably choose is magnetism, because if I can pull metals out of the ground, that I can sense them. I'm going to be rich. I am going out to
He's the
sea,
best
and
miner.
I am going to sail all around the ocean, just pull gold up out of the water. I am going to go to Australia and pull, and then if I can manipulate the subatomic particle level of an object, I am going to take my brisket coals from my fire, and I'm going to make them into diamonds.
So what you're telling me is you'll be an alchemist, but be careful because Spain and silver didn't work out so well. Lots of silver ruins economies.
I'm not going to flush it into the economy.
Just saying.
I'm just going to
I'm just
slowly putting it in my bank account.
I'm just saying you have to be an economist.
I don't care about, it's just one man, and I'm not flooding. I'm not putting $1 billion of gold in the market like that. I'm going to put in $20,000 a month into my bank account, because I'll have a little metal thing, and I'll walk around the beach, and people will think it's just like beep, beep, beep. Look at, he's really good at this.
See, that's a counterpoint for daily life,
So,
not superpowers.
What it's about for me is what can I use it for, right? Can I help people? Can I help myself? Can I help? I mean, can you imagine me being able to go into hospitals or into places in third world countries and do those things? Hey, over Easy Mode, how you doing? To be able to manipulate objects or economies. If I can sense metal, and I can sense, if I can sense metal and water, minerals and water, right? And I can see flowing well, I can actually dig the pipe right down and bring the water up, right? So there's a lot of practical applications to magnetism that I don't think you get with gravity.
I disagree. I mean, we're gonna go off on a tangent here.
No, it's not a tangent. It's still a discussion.
You can have a practical use of gravity, but it's more. I feel it's less on a personal level than say magnetism is, but
Well,
more
you're gonna be like the guy that carries large objects for everybody.
Yes,
Your only job is to be a dump truck.
you are the what is that? What's the team that rebuilds New York after every fight? You know how much faster? No, there's a little team. It's an actual.
I know.
Hey, Mastodon, how you doing, man?
You know how much faster everything would be if you could lift things with gravity. And
how much money
rebuild it?
are you gonna make that way?
A lot. You can be a dump truck.
Also,
all you are is a dump truck.
most of New York is metal.
It doesn't matter to the gravity guy. All right, so anybody in the chat have a differing opinion? I know some people have said gravity already. So I think, have you changed your mind whether you choose magnetism or gravity if you were having to choose a superpower?
Can gravity pull the iron out of someone's blood?
Yes. Yes.
Specifically iron.
Well, it's ferro.
Yeah, so basically you can actually stop hemoglobin, and you can actually stop oxygen from bonding to the iron in your blood and not allowing it to deliver to your brain. So
Is
you
that
actually
pulling it out?
You don't have to pull it out. You just have to not allow iron to bond to oxygen.
And I think I'm with you, D. Is the problem with this matchup here is because they're so similar in a fight, they're effectively doing the same thing. Like when it comes down to it, who would win in a fight between these two? It's really hard to say because it comes down to who kills the other faster.
They're both at their peak.
So a real rundown. They're both at their peak. Gravity is based on gravitons. So you're able to surround an object with gravitons that either repel or attract other objects. So it can create force fields. It can actually create energy beams. It can levitate objects. You can actually attune gravitons to other objects' gravitational fields, such as the sun. He was able to teleport to the sun using that ability.
Teleport.
He was able to sit here and lift a stone in China, drop it off in Australia through a guy's head. So pretty epic on that. On the side of magnetism, we're looking at the ability to affect ferrous and non-ferrous metals, so basically all metal, but actually affect the electromagnetic spectrum on an atomic level and actually create or destroy bonds between molecules. So, Mark, still think gravity is more powerful and useful.
I'm with you.
Well, I mean, if you're doing a wide scale thing, moving the Earth wouldn't be smart at all.
All right, so if we were to, Einstein's theory of general relativity says everything is affected by gravity. Correct. Everything has a gravity well. Everything will fall into gravity. What this guy does basically by adding gravitons to an object, or gravitons will actually increase the space of your well, or actually shift your well backwards.
Because comics.
So that's what we're talking about, gravity. Now, and Mark, I'm with you in a sense. The gravity power has potential to be greater at any given point,
yes,
over a bigger object than magnetism is.
Because magnetism has to rely on metals.
Not
Or
electromagnetic bonds,
yes,
right?
It has to be that fine-tuned.
So magnetism is going to work as a scalpel.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to go in and I'm going to disable you. Right.
Gravity is
going to grab a mountain and lift it and drop it on my head.
Yeah.
Right. But magnetism,
like,
depending on the level of metal in the mountain, I can keep it off of me. But that again is going to be one of those things. It's like, okay, how much metal's in it? I cannot affect the atomic structure of that whole object at the same time.
No.
It's better for me to fly out of there, pull myself to something over there. But again, so magnetism is more of a scalpel level where I'm going in for a surgical strike. I'm going to hit this thing and I'm going to do it quickly unless I have a lot of metal around me.
That said, Magneto versus Wolverine is one of the coolest displays of magnetism I've ever seen, and I'm still reminded of that fight where he rips all of the adamantine out of his
out of his body,
and that is such a cool thing that's unique to magnetism, right? Like the graviturgist here is effectively telekinetic. Like that,
yes.
That's what it comes down to.
He can't pull metal out of something. So when a gravitron person comes in, like I said, if I go over and I'm sailing my boat and I'm lifting up gold off the bottom, but gravity, it will affect metal, yes, if it can be seen.
Yeah.
It doesn't say he can sense metal where magnetism can.
Yeah, and that's the thing about gravity. If you're making yourself the gravity well, everything's coming towards you.
Yes.
Unless you specifically stop it.
So, Monkey Wrench question: would the Mimic played a viable role in this discussion? And I mean a later Mimic.
I'm not familiar with the Mimic.
Mimic is able to copy powers.
Okay.
I mean, he could copy either one of those powers. Sync can do the same thing in a sense, where he can sync up with those powers. M, I think, was able to, there was somebody else that was able to use powers and make them actually use them better. Not sure.
But in general, we're trying to stay away from who would win in a fight, because you have different power levels for each character, and more of just the power sets themselves. Because we don't want to say, oh yeah, let's take Firestorm versus Iceman, and more of just the general power sets.
Yeah, and generally watching these, this gravity can affect things that he can see and place things around, right? So in a sense, if the metal's way underground, he's not able to get gravitons around it. He would have to dig the ground up by putting gravitons in, and it would have to be a very slow process to get to the thing that he think it might be there that he can't necessarily sense. Magnetism can sense metals in the ground, metals in your heart, metals in your blood, metals everywhere. So
just by nature of being magnetic.
Nature of being magnetic, you can actually feel the magnetic poles of things and etc. So I don't know if it doesn't say the gravity person can actually see the gravity wells of things. That would be interesting. If the guy with the gravity powers was able to see,
that would be really cool to see the effective gravity wells of each object.
Gravity wells, and actually that thing has more mass,
that
and
would
boom,
be blinding.
Well, you learn to use it like telepathy, right? You learn to deal with it.
I can almost see it like a Daredevil thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. They're way too close and in concepts over easy that in a fight they're both effectively the same power.
It just depends. Like we thought is if you were to put those powers against each other, is basically who strikes first.
So
Yeah.
it's turned into what's more of a practical use because
And that's why we went along with the shop talk in a sense of what would you choose
Yeah,
and
let's
why?
hear people's opinions.
I like magnetism because I like to do things on a personal level and I want to make myself rich. I'm a little selfish, but I can help my wife. I can help pull things out of the ground. I can help doctors. I can go into, I can do a lot of things. I can go into a foreign country and help drill wells. I mean, a lot of the ability that I would have on that level would be really great. Now, in a magnetism sense, he could be really good at helping people lose weight. He just puts gravitons around them and then they don't have to worry about it anymore. He can move big objects, right? He can help rid the world of nuclear weapons, throw it into the sun, right? He can do that. But on a personal level, what can he do for a person? He can't really change their life in any meaningful way that I see, other than the guy say, there is metal buried right here. Can you help me get to it? And then they both try to figure it out.
I really like your analogy of the magnetism being a scalpel and for example, the gravity being a large weapon. It's at the end of the day, you need to pick your tool, because magnetism on a one-on-one fight would be really powerful, but a magnetism fighting like an army is not as strong. It just depends on how much
metal. So if there's a lot of metal, then he's okay. But if they're prepared for him, or they're out of his range, or it's overpowering him, or
weapons,
or ceramic, or sonic, there's a lot of different weapons that could actually, you wouldn't have much control over it. All right, so Mastodon says, who has more experience and control over their powers would be a factor. We agree.
In like a typical fight, we're trying to stay away from specific characters because
but it's true. I mean, it's like whoever strikes first,
because it's true.
Whoever knows their power better. So that's why, for the sake of discussion, we just say, hey, what if they're equal on all that? Equal on that. But which one would you choose, Mastodon? Magnetism and gravity, and then easy mode. Which one do you think? He says magnetism here. Magnetism, because I think you can operate more stealthily.
That's a good point, because anything dealing with gravity, you're gonna notice. I mean, you can, but its effective use is a whole lot less at that point.
I do have a question. Does anybody know how an Einstein-Rosenberg bridge is built? Is it between the electromagnetic bonds of objects, or is it between gravitational wells? Like a black hole.
I think the Thor movies used it as a black hole.
Well, that's always they always theorize is black holes. So this would be interesting to me. This is way out there theoretical. But I wonder if gravitron could create a gravity bridge
dense that it creates a black hole.
That it creates a black hole that actually becomes a wormhole. That would be fun. Now that would actually have some practical applications.
They mentioned it in the first Thor movie, when Thor was getting cast out of.
Yeah, but a black hole is a wormhole, right? In the comics.
Yeah.
But how is it created?
I mean,
they told us how they thought it was. I just can't remember.
I don't remember what they said either.
It's been forever since I've watched the first Thor movie.
All right, so we got Mark is gravity, over easy is magnetism, and Mastodon is going with magnetism.
I think it would be an interesting plot line on a grand scale, is if that you had a villain who was trying to implode a star for like the solar system using gravity.
Okay.
Which would effectively decimate all life in that solar system.
Depending on the star, yeah.
Which would be super cool, but
supernova,
kill everything, super cool. Yeah, so I am going with magnetism as well. Jay, I don't remember what you said.
I'm still sticking with gravity, but I'm not a scalpel person, so I would rather use my I would rather use brawn.
that is a very specific situation, Mastodon. Jay likes to throw out theoretical stories.
Yes, I love storylines where you have a cool event happening.
A thing, and which would be interesting, but. The only things Jay can think of to use the gravity powers are evil,
are destruction, yes,
or
are
cleaning
villainous,
up.
or being a dump truck,
or I'm a dump truck.
Only two.
I'm cleaning up after villainous acts. I hope New York gets destroyed. Why? I need a payday.
Actually, that's exactly what they
I'm
did.
helping the cleanup crew rebuild New York.
You're a Whovian, aren't you?
Maybe.
And me, I am just all self-interest. I'm going to get the gold. Every piece of gold at the bottom of the ocean is going to be in my pocket.
Just don't leak it all.
I'm not gonna blow the market. I'm gonna exchange a certain amount every month, and I'm gonna deposit it in my bank.
He's gonna have to do it to different governments.
And I am gonna make.
So
I'm gonna make so much money, and then once I'm rich, I'm gonna volunteer my time to drill wells, to help patients, to kill cancer.
All right. So have you?
I go in and destroy the cancer cells just by separating them on the atomic level. Man,
have you changed?
I'm going to be so rich.
No, I'm still scalpel.
Okay.
All right, so you're magnetism as well?
Yep.
All right, so magnetism, Mastodon was magnetism, Over Easy was magnetism,
Mark
was
gravity.
and Comic Collector was gravity, and Superior Hero was gravity. So,
are we even?
No,
I think gravity won. Technically, I think gravity won.
No, gravity was 4.
We're 4.
Magnetism
5.
4.
No, gravity was 5. We're 4. That's true, Mark. I could build my own Iron Man suit
with the iron defines.
To be fair, he doesn't have to be rich if he's Magneto. He just clobbles it together.
I can just pull it together myself.
What do you think the first Iron Man suit was?
My Iron Man suit's gonna be made out of gold, and just be like all gold and silver, and it's just gonna be awesome. And then like when Gravity Guy comes and goes, I move dump truck, I'll be just like scalpel in his brain and explode. Hey, you're shaking the camera. You're laughing so hard. You're shaking the camera. You're gonna make everybody sick. Everybody's gonna be throwing up. So that's basically our discussion is those. So if anybody else has any other comment, what did we miss?
I wish comic stores were still around that we could do this in there.
Well, you can, but it's a bit of a drive.
Well, when I go in a comic store and I ask these questions, the D&D nerds, the pop guy, look at me like I'm an idiot.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. Never mind. I'm backing away from what I was about to say.
It sounded like, to be honest.
You have to be respectful to your father. I also carry a scalpel. That is true, Over Easy Mode. I can actually just create my own nuclear power plant and split atomic particles.
Yeah. What is that?
I would like to see if Gravitron can actually create a self-generating battery. Remember self-generating engine?
Yeah.
Where you actually
perpetual motion machine.
Motion machine. I wonder if Gravitron could do that by the particles exchanging back and forth. Oh, that would be interesting.
Why can't I think of what I'm trying to think about?
Well,
that's not vague.
Well, I'm gonna back off of that.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's it, guys. That's our shop talk. Wait. You have something else?
I have nothing else. I think 40 minutes is a typical length video for us.
Yeah. So normally these come out on Monday, but we were talking about it, getting ready to record, and we were arguing with each other so hard that I'm like, these two are about to get in a fist fight.
Yeah.
I was jumping.
I mean, I'm like, what is going on? Okay, we got to get this on video. That way, if one of you kills the other, I'm not getting blamed.
We're making money.
It's getting streamed, and the whole world will know who did it. But then we get on stream, we're like, hey, yeah, we all agree. You little liars.
No, some of you have changed your opinions.
I changed my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I started with gravity, but as I start thinking, okay, the most powerful one, I think it could do the most powerful things is gravity. But I think the most practical is magnetism. And the question is, what would I choose and why? And I would choose magnetism because of the practical applications for myself. Therefore, since I control the in broadcast button, magnetism wins as the most practical application of power.
Grab the mouse.
If we were going to war with the Shi'ar Empire,
oh, dude,
I am taking Gravitron.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if you want power, if you want powerful displays,
I want him to take the whole Shi'ar planet and attune it to the sun.
Yeah. Go to your sun. Go to your star. Blow up.
Boom. All right. But so again, that is a good reason to choose that power. But for me, I want to be rich, so I'm going magnetism.
The world's ending anyways.
Let us know in the comments if there's anything else like you would have liked to see a use for magnetism or gravity. If you have a favorite hero that uses either one of those,
or if you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, just put it in the comments or hit us up on Instagram or Twitter and just let us know.
Yeah, so does he. It's E.
I have that same power too, Mark.
It's called kids.
It's called kids, and I had my youngest
child labor.
I had this one and my youngest. I said, "Here's 100 for you. Here's 100 for you. The first one to get done gets $5. Go, man! I had so many bags of boards created really fast.
I got the $5. It was great.
He did get the $5, and then the daughter cried. So
it's because I gave her half of my bags and boards.
She did get some money too, because she cried, and that girls win. So again, if you have a shop talk that you would like us to discuss, to do a video on, or maybe hey, join us on a live stream of talking this comic talk, because that's what we like. Shoot us a message.
It's just arguing.
It's debating.
It's debating. It's a thought experiment, and we come to a consensus, or we come to agree to disagree, but we all understand where we're coming from, and this is what we like about comics. This is why we read comics, because I want to be that dude.
I mean, the what ifs are the same exact things.
And I'm so tired of Magneto being a villain. When all he has
could be a hero.
He could be a hero with a ton of money.
Yeah.
And Gravitron was always really kind of, and so, but he was a great villain in Thunderbolts. He was a good villain in Thunderbolts. All right, so guys, that's it for tonight. Magnetism won because
he says so.
I said so. And there's 2 of us and 1 of the Gravity people. I appreciate everybody joining us again. If you have a topic conversation you want us to mention or discuss, shoot us, put it in the comments, send us a message. We will be glad to take that on and just chat about it, argue about it mostly. And some of us will fight about it. That will happen. I almost had a fist fight on video.
Yeah, you missed it. Like somebody was trying to say what magnetism was.
And somebody was getting it wrong.
They're going back. They were going down to. They're going down to strange particles. I was like, oh, listen, this is just too.
It's too granular. Pull it back.
Pull it back a little bit. We want to go mountain. He left mountain.
We don't want to know about quarks. Come on.
A bunch of other particles we can't name.
So thanks everybody for joining us. We will see you tomorrow night with our quickfire reviews, and then again Sunday when we do our long box comic haul and news discussion. So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you again next time here
in the long box.
Peace.
So what are we doing Monday?
A video.